Inside PressBox is presented by Friedmont Mortgage. Don't make a 30-year mistake by choosing the wrong lender. Go to Friedmont.com now for all of your mortgage needs.
Welcome back to Inside PressBox. Time now for our photo of the week, brought to you by Yuengling Lager, a true American classic. Taste the quality that 180 years of family-owned and operated tradition brews into every single bottle. Keeping up with the tradition, the Super Bowl champions headed to D.C. last week to be honored by the leader of the free world himself, President Barack Obama. After congratulating the Ravens on his second Lombardi Trophy, Coach Harbaugh, joined by his 2012 squad, presented the Commander-in-Chief with his very own Ravens jersey, making the President an honorary member of the World Champs. And thanks to PressBox photographer Sabina Moran for these awesome photos. Joining me now in studio to fill us in on everything that the Ravens have been up to this offseason is PressBox writer Joe Platania. Joe, welcome. Thank you for joining me this evening. So the Ravens and their amazing run to the championship, how do they turn the page from this?
It's kind of tough to do, especially when you're talking about a franchise that it's still relatively young, but they've won a second Super Bowl title, the first in 12 years. It's a heady experience, especially for guys like Terrell Suggs, who'd been with the team for a full decade, Ed Reed, guys like that have worked so hard and paid the dues and went through a lot of near misses in the postseason. So you want to enjoy it as much as you can, but then again, you realize that they're going to give away another Lombardi Trophy next year, and it's time to get to work.
Now, you've been as close to this team as anybody. Some of the guys who helped bring that second Lombardi Trophy here to Baltimore chose not to partake in the festivities, didn't show up to the White House, didn't show up to the ring ceremony. Your thoughts on some of those guys who said, hey, I've moved on and I'm moving on and not looking back?
Well, you know, every championship team gets honored at the White House, any sport, pro, college, we've seen it all the time. And when you're talking about an NFL team that's 53 guys, Major League Baseball has a 25-man roster. NBA teams have, 12 to 15 guys. So you're bound to run into a couple of omissions, whether maybe their new team is having a mini camp or an OTA and they can't get away, or maybe there's some kind of philosophical difference, or maybe some bad blood hanging over there. So it's inevitable that some guys aren't going to make the trip for whatever their reasons, and the fans are certainly going to have their opinions as to whether those guys should have been there or not.
Now, the ring ceremony, it always seems that every year the team that wins the Super Bowl tries to outdo the last team as far as, for lack of a better term, the gaudiness of the ring or the price of it, the number of diamonds. The Ravens' second Super Bowl ring was nearly flawless and gorgeous. I mean, your thoughts on how it compared to the Super Bowl 35 ring and things of that nature?
I'll tell you what, it was more of a vertical ring, because the two Super Bowl trophies in the field of diamonds in the middle of the ring was on a platform that seemed elevated from the finger. So if you put it on your finger, it seemed elevated from what the Super Bowl 35 ring, which was ornate enough, was showing. So if you go back in time, and I went over this on the PressBoxOnline.com Ravens Report blog the night of the ceremony, the Baltimore Colts ring, in the middle of that ring, there was no field of diamonds. It had a horseshoe and a few blue diamonds in it. It looked relatively cheap compared to what the players are wearing now. So it's grown more gaudy and more ostentatious as time has gone on. And you might not be into that sort of thing, but it's why guys work so hard for them.
The Ravens OTAs are done. Their mini camp is done. The next big step for them is training camp. They've got a whole new crop of guys in this locker room. How does it look so far to you in this offseason?
I'll tell you what, the general consensus among the national media, it seems to be, when you look at the pieces they've added, especially on defense, which is where this team's made its reputation, it could be even better than last year's unit, and last year's unit still had Ray Lewis and Ed Reed. But when you're talking about an Elvis Dumervil, a ferocious pass rusher, you're talking about a Michael Huff and a Matt Elam, safeties that are interchangeable. You can't just say one's a free safety, one's a strong safety. You look at the deeper defensive line with solid NFL veterans like Chris Canty and Marcus Spears. This could be the kind of defensive unit that gives John Harbaugh options, which is the kind of coach he is. I've said and written this many times. He likes to have options. He likes to mix and match. The inside linebacker situation could be firmed up a little bit. We'll have to wait and see what other teams let go from their training camp. But it could be a very, very promising outlook for a defense that won the Super Bowl while being ranked in the middle of the league.
As far as Joe Flacco is concerned, pick the cliche, heavy is the head that wears the crown, too much is given, much is expected. He's got this huge contract. Now he has to live up to it, at least in the eyes of the fans and the media and things of that nature. We know Joe's not going to change his personality and demeanor, but can he live up to the numbers that he signed?
I think he can, and you're right, he's not going to change. He's just the same unpretentious, down-to-earth guy. Just nothing ruffles him, nothing bothers him. And when you consider off the field in the last couple of years, he's gotten married, had a baby, and now there's another one on the way. So when you consider all that, plus the football demands, it might take down somebody of character that's not that strong. But Joe Flacco is just going to be who he is. He's just going to go through his life day to day. He admitted during minicamp he doesn't know who 90% of the guys are on the team, and it just doesn't matter to him. He's just going to throw the ball, throw the routes, know the playbook, and he'll figure out the rest later.
Well, here's our own Joe Platania of Inside Press Box. We'll be right back with more after this.
Play 5-card cash from the Maryland Lottery and you could really hit it big. Become the contestant of the game or win other great Orioles prizes. Just go to mdlottery.com/Orioles for details.